Suddenly, the man's eyes began to burn, as if something invisible had scorched his pupils. He rubbed his face, desperate for relief, but what he saw next left him stunned. The man in the suit before him had transformed into paper. Confused, he turned to the side, only to be struck by an even greater shock. A woman's body had dissolved, leaving behind nothing but a skirt, spinning on its own in the air, as if dancing without music. When he looked around, the nightmare grew even more grotesque. People split in half, walking hand in hand with themselves, others functioning like human batteries. Clark's heart pounded, panic surging through him. In his frantic escape, he stumbled into a group of mobsters. Lifting his eyes, he realized the boss was no longer human. His skin peeled back, revealing gears and wires like a robot in disguise. In the heat of the moment, Clark began to sing Evidencias. To his astonishment, Bruce, the feared mob boss, broke down in tears. Instead of killing him, he embraced him. The metal shell cracked open, and beneath it appeared a fragile boy, Bruce as a child, scarred by the trauma of losing a toy and being humiliated by his friends. That pain had driven him into a life of crime, but now, moved by Clark's voice, his entire armor fell apart. On his knees, he promised to abandon the underworld. What Clark didn't know was that days earlier, he had undergone an experimental surgery that awakened his sixth sense. The grotesque visions were not illusions. They were manifestations of hidden traumas within people. Even the doctor who had operated on him appeared, yet to Clark's eyes, he was nothing more than a hollow, translucent body. One day, in a small diner, Clark encountered Aurora, his ex-girlfriend, but for fleeting moments, she had no face. Determined, he brought her back to the old apartment they once shared. Surrounded by familiar furniture and memories, fragments of her identity began to return. But then Clark noticed a scar, an identical hole in her forehead. The truth struck him. Aurora had undergone the same surgery. Consumed by anger, he hunted down the doctor. And that's when the final truth emerged. The woman was never his ex at all. She was, in fact, the driver responsible for the accident that had killed the real Aurora. The doctor, obsessed, had orchestrated everything to study whether grief and guilt could transform into forgiveness. The final revelation was as surreal as it was painful. The doctor himself wasn't even human. He was a living aquarium filled with whales and shimmering scales. His trauma traced back to childhood. Ignored by a father who only cared for ornamental fish, he had tried to draw scales on his own body, even shattering an aquarium in a desperate attempt to be noticed. Since then, his life had become a twisted quest for recognition. Clark, tears streaming down his face, understood at last. Everyone here was broken in some way, and there was only one way forward: forgiveness. He took the woman's hand, and together, they stepped out of that nightmare. They were no longer victims of trauma, but survivors who had learned to transform pain into redemption.